Welcome one and all to the Japanese short circuit for the finale here of the F1 2020 short series here at RLH just before we get season 8 underway, and we're looking at the Japanese short circuit, which is going to host 4 races live for you this evening, starting off with group number 1 hurtling down towards turn number 1 with the Red Bull car. Of course, the first corner, as it is super quick, and that's where the majority of the overtaking is going to be taking place today. You file your way up through the S's, running now very high downforce, high temperature part for the tyres, which will be important in the race. A little bit of a talking point later on for coming up to the top of Dunlop. You take that right and cut across back onto the pit straight just by the Ferris wheel and making that flying run back down towards turn 1 again. The lap time, if we were doing qualifying, probably would be in sort of about 1 minute, that 1 minute club, not 1 minute club, sort of 35 seconds, sort of low mid 40s. Race time definitely in the 30 seconds. And the really interesting about this, what's going to come up now, is tyre temperatures, because the first sector is so demanding for tyre temperatures, and we are expecting the tyres to sit around 120 degrees for most of the race, making it really, really difficult in the upcoming in the laps. And we're going to see a lot of difference in strategy, it must be said. But as we transition onto the race circuit, we're going to have a little bit of a twist in the tail, because it is wet weather here in Japan. Not quite sure if it's intermediate or full wets for the drivers, but nevertheless it's going to be definitely an interesting one, I think, and we're going to have to really consider, well, how things are basically going to play out in this race, because, well, we were thinking that a dry race, it was going to be difficult on the tyre temperatures, and it might be a little bit different in the wet. And, well, have guys got wet setups selected? I would imagine a lot of drivers have tailored their dry setups to cope with the tyre wear, low tyre pressures. I would assume. Looks like it's intermediate tyres for the drivers as they come to start this formation lap. And we can just have a look at everybody out on the inters. A few cars not really going anywhere just there. But nevertheless, it's Niels leading the way from Marco Botta, then Jerome, then Big Bet, Jarry, Brent, Bosmos, Multi, Wesley, Alex, Prinz, Mamba, Fiscal, Shabby, Invisible, and Leo. And something that is quite important, of course, there's 2 tiers running, but competing for that same championship. We're going to have to sort of do a bit of mathematics over the course of these 2 races and try and work out, really, you know, who's on top in each one. And as things stand, the leading driver from Group 1 is Shabby. He's on 88 points, 4 points behind Man Like Donkey. Then it's Fiscal, Black Mamba, and Prinz. And as you can see, they are currently down in 14th, 13th, and 12th, because it's reverse grid for this first race. We'll see that in both tiers, but Niels will be leading them around. And we're not long before we get going. 2 cars disqualified. But hopefully none of those antics once we get going. The first of 4 races is going to be a good evening of entertainment. I can assure you that 27 laps are ahead of us in this first Grand Prix. But in intermediate conditions, it could be a little bit different. You don't have to stop. Could that be a feature? Will it dry up? We just don't quite know at this moment in time. But nevertheless, as the final cars make their way into position, we can get going. For the first time this evening, the lights are here now. We can't quite see them. We still can't see them. Yes, we can. They're behind the screen. 5 red lights, and we're underway for the first time here in this finale short. So this will be a brilliant start from Jerome in P3. Can he go up into the lead? Looks like Marco Botta up into P1 already. Clean start from most of the grid. And Marco Botta into the lead, and Niels just run over road a little bit there. Maybe struggling in the conditions a little bit as Jerome moving himself up into P2. And is that Brent trying to pounce on the opportunity? Going around the outside. Good move from Brent there. Get up into 3rd. Looks like everyone's gone away relatively cleanly. Big Bet in 6th, just behind Boss Moss and the 2 orange cars of Jarry and Wesley follow behind, but the interconditions making this start a little bit treacherous. Who would have been the big winner? Shabby, I think, come up a few places. Alex losing out to Black Mamba further back. Multi-Rev runs a little bit wide, maybe forgetting that we're running the short track here. Of course, it's the first time in this lobby. They've all run it, and a bit of carnage off that final corner. Multi-Rev losing 2 positions there, and I think the timing order, is it just mucking about? We've got Alex already into the pit lane from further back. Marco Botta leads from Jerome, from Brent, then Niels, then Jarry, Shabby. Is he in 6th? No, he's the timing orders jumping all over the shop, and Looks like Shabby's down in P15, so... Oh, no, he's not. No, ignore the positions. I think for the time being, great start from Leo up into what I think is P11. After starting a little bit further towards the back of the grid, so going very well for him as well. Of course, we have to remember that a lot of the guys from Group 2 could be watching this, getting a few hints and tips, and I think the one we can first recommend is remember it's the short track, everybody, because a few drivers getting caught out a little bit here. As Brent in a good position at the moment in this race, but Marco Bozza leading the way in towards turn 1. And that's also another crucial thing. Alex has just come out the pit lane, he's just done one stop, and he's almost a lap down on some of the other drivers. That's how short this lap is. Bosmos challenging Niels, who lost positions to Brent on that previous lap. Leo getting very close to Prince, no way round, and Shabby trying to pounce on the mistake. Can Shabby find a way through? And then switch to the inside. Shabby just about got the nose in front, and he's hanging on the outside, and just about nips ahead of Leo there, and anyone's behind to pounce on Valor overtake. Not quite on this occasion. Yellow flags, and I think that might be for Alex, of course, having to force basically to get out of the way. No, it's not Alex. It looks like it's Invisible. Invisible's had a moment somewhere further back down the grid. No DRS on in these tricky wet conditions, so you might not see any moves. Easy moves early on. Prince very close to the back of Wesley, but no moves down at turn number 1. Yeah, we can Group 2 are watching, and they're waiting their turn. We'll flick straight to them once this race finishes. Already 4 laps in to this very short race, and a short race for the end of the short series. But Bosmos maybe under a little pressure from Big Bear. It's very close at the moment. I think pit stops really could decide this one. Who can call it right on the strategy? I'm not sure if it's going to dry up. It doesn't look like there are signs of the rain drying up. Fiscal Multirab having a bit of a battle. Fiscal getting the better run on his rival further up the road. Prince just keeping ahead of Shabby, and looks like Multirab has managed to fight this one back down the inside. Goes the Brit, just about keeps it within the bounds of the racetrack, and who's that further back? Looks like Multi's got a little bit too deep in the corner, can't quite get the power down, and Fiscal managing to sneak up the inside. Black Mamba trying to take advantage, but no way through just yet. And what's happening to Big Bear? Big Bear's a little bit slowly, rejoining safely though. And how does he have front wing damage? You really don't want front wing damage on this circuit. Leo goes up his inside as well. I think he might do. Not sure if there's a coming together of another driver. This is not a helpful camera angle to find out. Further up the road though, Prince is going to wheel with Shabby. Shabby on the inside there into the final corner. Then out wheel to wheel. Looks like Prince maybe got a little bit less downforce on the car, and is managing to out-drag Shabby a little bit down towards the end. Prince swoops around the outside, keeping hold of that P8, and our championship protagonist, the main championship protagonist here in Group 1, struggling to get through some of the drivers. Of course, a lot of these guys C1, C2, and I think a few C3 in there for this upcoming season, so it's a very, very quick group. And see Marco Bozza 2.1 seconds out in front. Brent 2.6 seconds behind. He's got a second to Niels, but of course no DRS in these tricky conditions. And Wesley still behind Yari. They were been like that since lap 1. Looks like Big Bear did not need to pit, and Jari's into the wall. That's a moment for Jari. Oh, and he's collected Shabby. That's the main championship protagonist from Group 2. Both of them are out, stricken across the road. Guys have to be careful now, and I believe if I just do this, the safety car has been called out. Drone is setting at the fastest lap of the race at some point, and what will people decide to do now? It's really unfortunate. Jari just losing the car there. It's a nice camera angle. Jari losing the car there, and I think Shabby, well, we didn't quite see how he hit him, but what I imagine was where the cars ended up. Jari hits the wall, then drifts out onto the track a little bit, and maybe one of those awkward, just sort of not really deciding where to go for Shabby. And unfortunately, out of the race, and that will compromise him in the following race. As it's all getting a little, what's happening down here? Guys not deciding to pit though. I was trying to see if anyone's going to make the big call and Prince into the pit lane. Let's see what he decides to do really here. Anyone behind coming in? Doesn't look like it just yet. Prince looking to go for the tyre advantage. You've got Multi, Black Mamba into the pit lane as well. Is it the new front wing? No, it's not. That's why people are coming in. Multi, no new front wing, new set of inters. If you're near the back, I think it's probably worth the gamble. The only problem though is it's such a short lap. You've got to be careful. You know, you can get maybe some drivers serving some. Oh, I don't know what happened there. It's a bit of black magic from Black Mamba. But it allows Alex to. I think he's actually sort of sat in P2. He's fortunately just can't quite overtake yet. They haven't actually got to the safety car. But it is such a short lap. The guys, I'm not actually sure if the guys who pitted will sort of get the opportunity to rejoin at the back of the field. But Marco Bozza, I would imagine he'd be wanting to get on with this one, get this race restarted as quickly as possible to keep hold of this bit of his advantage in this race. But the big talking point, Shabby out of this race, and definitely gives Mallet Donkey the advantage in Group 2 in the coming minutes. But, well, of course, Mallet Donkey, because he's the championship leader, he's starting a lot further down the order in that second race. So the attention of the championship turns to Fiscal, Black Mamba and Prince. And then after that, it's Alex, currently down in P9, but I think maybe a little bit too far away. You never know, there could be a shock, though. So, Fiscal, Black Mamba and Prince, currently in 11th, 12th and 9th. So, can Prince, Fiscal or Black Mamba make the gains? We'll see. Black Mamba definitely came into the pits. Did Fiscal pit on that time around? He did. So, fresh tyres, you would have thought, for 10th down to 13th. But everyone on the same compound, of course. Does it look like it's drying up? Not really. I don't think we're going to see slicks or anything. We'll be coming in this lap. I think that's probably the next question on our lips. We might actually be. I think, well, these guys might want to be getting a little bit more of a move on if they can. They should. I would have thought join up with the back of the field if we got going this lap, but it doesn't look like we are. Hence where the third sector really starts. I don't think it's a long third sector. It doesn't look like we're going on this one. Marco Bota's still warming up the tyres, and the safety car carries on for another lap. So the field will be joined together once we get going. Unfortunately, Alex, well, bit of rotten luck. He's not allowed past, to be honest, and really unfortunate for him. But nevertheless, Marco Bota making sure those tyres are up to temperature. He was in a prime position. He is currently down in 32nd in the championship, only 6 points to his name, so a win here would do absolute wonders for his championship, putting up to 31, assuming he can get it. Who has the fastest lap at the moment? Let's have a quick look before we get going again. It currently is Jerome, but look how close it is. A lot of guys. Oh, there's a penalty. I think I'm not getting some of the messages, and there has been a collision penalty between Brent and Niels. I believe that will be 5 seconds, and it is. For some reason I'm not getting the messages at the bottom, but I think we are going at the end of this lap. We'll get the telemetry up for the race leader to see when he decides to put the pedal to the metal. And coming off of this final corner, he now, I think, is going. He's got a good start. Oh, almost losing the race. He's going sideways. Coming out that final corner. Can't quite get the power down. And as we run now down towards turn number 1, it's been a good restart. Alex now, unfortunately for him, has to move out of the way. Blue flags will be flying, but we're racing once again here. And it's already wheel-to-wheel action between Wesley and Leo. Leo trying to go clean around the outside. Great move. Niels going wide. Alex just trying to keep out of the way. Bosman's gone down the inside of Niels and up in the head. Oh, and it's wide there. Contact between the back marker and Niels. And Niels is off. Niels going off. Wesley going around the outside. Hopefully Niels rejoins safely, and he does. But further back, Kupla making up positions as Fiscal and Multirab get through as well. Prince up in a P8 now, of course, that championship. Batanga's Big Bear on the back of Wesley. Wesley was dueling way of Leo, and well, I think Alex was doing his absolute best to keep out of the way, but guys were going too wide, and Marco Bota is into the pits. Why is Marco Bota pitting? Very bizarre call, in my opinion. It was a very good place in the race. Neil's coming in, maybe a little bit expected, it must be said, but Bosmos looking good on the restart, I must say, looking very racy, and up in a P3 now is the all-black liveried driver. But why is Marco Bota pitted? I don't know what the tyre wear is like for the intermediates. I don't know what temperature they're running at. I know temperature definitely sort of affects the tyre wear in F1 2020 when I did a little bit of running on this Japanese short track, but can the tyres go all the way to the end? I know at some tracks the Inter sort of can basically do the whole race distance. Is this one of them? I don't know. Marco Bota pitting. He's down in P13 now. We're out in P12. So very interesting stuff, it must be said. Jerome leads the way now from Brent, from Bosmos, and Bosmos. This is the closest battle on track, actually. No DRS. Who's that at the front of this little train? It might be Niels. And Niels, well, taking a very interesting route to keep out the way. But Bosmos very close to Brent. No DRS. It's definitely well within DRS range. Yellow flags out. I think that's just for Niels as he does his best to keep out of the way. Blue flags, of course, and it's such a difficult part of the track to get out of the way, to let people through. And into the pit lane comes Leo. He's coming into pit lane, so actually maybe I might have been completely wrong. Wesley promoted up in a P4 and Big Butt up in a P5 now, and maybe the tyres can't go all the way to the end. Interesting enough, and well, who is in the prime seat then to win this race if the tyres can't go all the way to the end. Which drivers stopped earlier on? Boswell still getting very close to the edge. Just can't quite get alongside on that move in towards turn 1. Fiscal also hassling the back of Multirab. And everyone being really careful through this mid-part. Prinz is the highest driver to pit so far in this race. He's trying to line him up a little bit here. Multirab cuts across the corner to maybe try and take a bit of a more offensive line, if you like. Boswell's closing in towards turn 1. Is he close enough to make the move? Not quite on this occasion. Big Bear close to Wesley, but no move for him that time around. And Multirab still leading in P7 for this little duel. And we get the tyres up and we can see, yeah, Prinz in a good position in this race. If the tyres cannot go all the way to the end, he is in the prime spot to be taking advantage of this, all pitting under the safety car. And well, with just over 10 laps left to go in this one, and judging on the top, the top 5 all done 15 laps, Prinz can definitely go to the end, sort of on this strategy he is currently on, and could be the race favourite. We'll have to see how that pans out. And of course, in with a shout of the championship battle, and Fiscal managed to get a much better race. Multirab running a little bit wide on the cut across part of the track, and Fiscal now alongside Multirab. Multirab just seems to be better in a straight line. He's got more ERS. A little bit, both of them using overtake, but Multirab a bit more of a slippier car through the air, and he manages to move himself up into, or keep a hold of P7, but Fiscal coming back at Multi, no move, just a high, and there might be a little bit of tag there. Black Mama's around as well, both of them spinning, maybe just a little bit of contact, and as the cars are on this slippery surface and turning in, and please no one come together. Marco Bosa just managing to slide through. No sort of virtual safety cars to worry about, and I don't think there's much damage, just a little bit of contact, and that's all you need in these tricky conditions, just to send the car spinning around a little bit. Wesley and Big Bear have managed to jump onto the battle for P2, and it's now, well, all the way down to Prinz. And Prinz doing a good job there, saving the car as it slid out of turn number 2. A little bit of train falling back, big gap back to Multi, who's doing a great defensive job. Fiscal overtaken by Black Mamba. They had a little bit of a tag on that previous lap. But also, I think we were talking about how, well, Prinz seems to be in a very good position on these fresher tyres. So is Jerome. I mean, there's no sign of any of the top guys coming into the pit lane. Are they going to the end? That's another question we can be asking. Will they struggle, on the depth? Will the tyres just fall off a cliff and can Prinz pick them off? Big Bear running a little bit wide. Can Prinz capitalise on that? He can't, because he's sliding himself. No way through just yet, and Leo and Fiscal very, very close. Can Leo get a better exit? I believe one of his first races in RLH. I've not seen him race before. New addition to the short series, if I'm correct. As they get down towards turn 1, Fiscal still leading the way, just about in the battle for P11. Oh, he's put his nose up the inside there, Leo. He's managed to get alongside. Both of them run the same livery, but different colours. And Leo goes around the outside, which then turns to the inside. It's a good move there from Leo, to be fair. And as Bosmos was on the attack, he's now on the defence, because Wesley very, very close, but not going for that move in towards turn number 1. Prinz getting close for Big Bear, hoping for a mistake from some of the guys further in front of him. He's got the freshest rubber. But as things stand, I would expect some of the guys at the front going to the end. Maybe a mistake then from the likes of Marco Boto. And I think Leo pitted just after that safety car. And Wesley now, Bosmos was on the attack. He's now struggling. What's happened to Bosmos? He's got front wing damage. He has. He must have had a little bit of a contact with somebody there. He's got front wing damage. He's dropping down the order. He's surely going to have to come into the pit lane, and he is. To be fresh interest to the end for him, but losing out massively in this battle. He was in a very good P3 position. Something also to remember, Brent's got 5 seconds to add to his race time. You never know, it could get removed in the final sort of race results and after a steward's inquiry. But as we watch this race live, he will be losing out and probably dropping down to P5 as things stand. But with not many laps left to go in the first of 4 races, it's been very exciting for what is, probably the hardest track, and Wesley saving a slide there very well. It must be said. Brent going a little wide, dipping a tyre onto the grass, but getting a good exit on this, and Brent, very good defensive job. Wesley putting that ERS flat out once again. It is probably, I would say, on, probably a little bit easier than, for example, Monaco, but it's probably one of the hardest tracks to overtake on the game. It is a very short straight, a very short lap, and this middle sector does make it difficult. I won't say middle sector, but the S is up the hill. Make it difficult to follow closely. And it'll be interesting. I'm quite interested. I was very looking forward to seeing a dry race in the on this track, because the tyre temperature is the big talking point and the big issue around here. I think Wesley maybe also knowing that doesn't need to go for the move on Brent, and with this long left in the race, probably can't make it mount a challenge towards Jerome out front. But looking further back, Multirab still doing a very impressive job to hold on what is now P6, running a little bit wide though, and it looks like Invisible just got the downforce, got the grip, and he's put one up the inside. But we know Multirab's quick in a straight line. He's going to have that ERS activated, and look who's just behind. I'm not quite sure who's just behind. It's not Marco Boto. I think it's Niels maybe trying to unlap himself. Is it Niels? It is Niels. Niels just hanging on in that little battle there, but we look back at the battle for P2. Two brilliant defences from Brent and Multi to hold on to P2 and what is now P6 respectively. And it looks like Big Ben might have got the best of the exits, and also Prinz, and they're trying to close in on Wesley in front, but just no, they're not gaining at all. They're just in that slipstream train, and no overtakes this time around. Invisible, though, might be looking to go for the same. Multi again, we know how quick that car is in a straight line, and he's off and away, P6. And of course, something else to remember about this race is it's reverse grid. For the second one, a little bit later on, we've got to watch Group... Oh, and Fiscal's round. Fiscal's round just on the exit of the final corner. Rejoins very nicely, unfortunately losing our couple positions, but for all the finishers, they will be reverse gridded, and we'll start in reverse order. So currently it will be Alex on pole, then Niels, then Fiscal. That's your top three. As you go down to turn 1 for not the penultimate, but the one after it time. With 3 laps left, if you include the one we're on, it's still Brent from Wesley, from Big Bet, from Prinz in the battle for P2, but Jerome not really got much. He's been on his own most of the race, and well, since Marco Boto pitted, and he's getting his head down, doing some good work in the strategy. Back Mamba and Marco Boto swapping positions. That was a move down to turn 1 for Mamba, and he's ahead. But we look back at this battle for P2. Brent doesn't have long left to survive. Oh, Prinz thinking about trying to get it in, got the inside of Big Bear there on the final corner, but it was an ever-closing gap, and I think really sensible stuff there, to be fair from Prinz, and maybe just valuing that P5 and over what could be a lot worse. And they have got the little buffer behind them, but you don't want wing damage around this track. It's a very downforce heavy circuit. Of course, the S is making up basically most of it. And I think we can maybe some drivers, I think maybe Multi running a dry setup. That's why he's so quick in a straight line. But of course, compromise, and Big Bear opens the door for Prinz now. He's gone alongside him, trying to go round the outside. Just at the end of the S's, they're still wheel to wheel now, as they now go the hill, and Prinz up in a P4, pouncing on the mistake. Maybe a bit of tyre wear is the issue. And Prinz, will he come alive on this final lap? Jerome has started that final racing lap. And I think this track not very hard on ERS in the wet. Drivers saving quite a bit, but Jerome loving life out front. Been a swap position, just Niels has had a spin. That's just where Jerome is going through, and luckily, no dramas down there at the moment. But Prinz getting close, very close to Wesley, but has to hold on to that P4. He will be promoted into P3 though in the final race result. Yellow flags up in front. Is that just Niels? He's there on. Please don't do that. Oh, that's close. A bit of contact between as people just trying to avoid this one. Who is going to come out? Though Prinz trying to go around the outside. He's trying to pounce on that sort of little bit of an error there. I think Niels having a little bit of a spin. We run towards the line. Can Prinz get the best of the exits? It's going to be very, very close. Not quite. It is Jerome. Great race win for him. From Wesley, from Prinz, from Big Bear, from Brent. And Multirab battling away to keep hold. Just doesn't. He seems to be going a little bit wide. That downforce compromising him. Now getting on the power. He's just going to hold on to P6. Great drive from Multi to fight off some faster cars. Bosmos getting ahead of Leo just into that final quarter. Bosmos nips the final point position, and Alex in P13 comes into the pit lane. But nevertheless, it's a great drive from Giron, and he picks up all 25 points in this one, and will help out his championship absolutely massively. But Prinz, a good result for him if he can transfer that, getting driver of the day as well, which I'm sure he'll be very happy about. If he can transfer that into a good race in the second race, he could be in with a shout. We have to see how Black Mamba gets on in the next one. He's starting, I think, P14, if I remember correctly. But 25 points for Jerome, 18 for Wesley, and Prinz picking up a crucial 15 for his championship. We now turn our attention to Group 2, and well, what will the weather conditions be like in that one? I think that was a big deciding factor in today's race, and maybe making it a little bit more difficult to overtake with no DRS. But it is Jerome from Wesley, Prinz, Big Bear, Brent, Multi, Invisible, Black Mamba, Marco Bota, Bossmos, Leo, Fiscal, Alex, and Niels, Shabby, and Jerry unfortunately retiring. So that means they will start last. Massive compromise of Shabby's championship. He's going to have to go completely gloves off. Marco Bota picks up the fastest lap of the race, 39.4. Very good, it must be said. And I now will join you back in a second on some racing action as I'll move to Group 2 and we can have a look at that lap once again in the Red Bull. To have a few talking points about this Japanese circuit, because it is very, very interesting at the moment how things are planning out in around this circuit. And if we get another dry race like it is for the Red Bull at the moment, well, it's going to be a completely different race. In Group 2, we should be ready to go very, very shortly. Nevertheless, that Red Bull hooked up. What a lap for myself. Of my alternative track series on my YouTube channel, big up myself. But yeah, in the dry, it's going to be a completely different beast, this circuit. Tyre temperature, the big talking point, I think, of the races. Coming into it, that's what I was expecting, all about tyre temperatures, keeping them under control, so we could see some different strategies. I imagine a lot of drivers will have dedicated setups on, if you like, and everyone just readying up in Group 2, 16 in this from Group 2 as well. Very much looking forward to getting 4 races of action effectively. It might be a little bit quicker this one. That's the reason we moved to the 50% racing rather than 25 a lap. Where you see, even in the wet, they managed to do a 39.4, so the driver should be a couple of seconds quicker. And well, what could be even shorter race. But of course, other than the current championship leader, a man like Donkey, out on 92 points, it's been quite competitive in Group 2. You got Nicker on 61. He's down in P6 in the overall standings. Phil McConaughey in P7. He's on 59. Then you got Baker on 51 in P8. Flying without 43 and 12. Always Rick on 35 points in 13th. That's what we cover the Group 2 at the moment, because we're not long of getting ready for this one. We'll see what the conditions are as well. Hopefully a little bit more kind to the drivers, and that they are. Nice sunny skies here in Suzuka this time around for Group 2, and I welcome all of Group 1. I assume they'll all be watching, getting the inside knowledge on how things are going for their teammates. The teams are split across the 2 groups, so we're supporting their teammates best they can, I would imagine. Well, so we've got to bear in mind the big for the championship. No points for Shabby. Fiscal, I think, getting a couple off the top of my head, and Prinz picking up 15. So that puts Prinz now on 80 points, 12 of man like Donkey. So still all to play for, with the championship leader starting down in P15, 14, something like that. We'll get confirmation of it now. We do. He's currently down. He's down in 16, so not ideal for the championship leader. But of course, that's how the short series works. So Fifi will lead us away, followed by Ralph, Enz, Skipper, Bogorovsky, Russell, Calais, Composite, Always Rick, Flying with Val, Kappa, Baker, Phil McConaughey, Nicker, Tiku, and then Malak Donkey, the championship leader. And it's a dry race. What tyres have people opted for? That's not the right one. That is. No, it's softs for everybody apart from Calais and Man Like Donkey. They have both gone for the medium tyres. Of course, you have to use one of each compound in this race. Support from the Group 1 guys cheering on their teammates. Black Mamba and Man Like Donkey currently hold the Constructors' Championship by quite a way at the moment, it must be said. But we get ready. Enz just qualified. Not quite sure what for, but nevertheless, let's hope for a good race start. In the dry here, it was very clean, to be fair, in those tricky interconditions in Group 1. Can Group 2 fare the exact same fate? As everyone is lined up on the grid. And we reset to get going. The lights are going out now. We have 4 and 5 red lights here in Group 2 for race number 1. And it's lights out and away we go. Who can get the rest of the starts? Fifi leading him away. It's been a great start. Ends not really going anywhere off of that race start. And there's just no route for anyone third behind. Maybe looking for a move. Around the outside is Fifi. No way passing Ralph. Up in a P1. Great move there from Ralph. And everyone, it's been pretty clean so far. From what I can see, Clay dropping 2 positions down, round the outside to down the inside. Goes Baker on his brother, always Rick. Great fighting between those two. Nonetheless, a start for the medium runners, not really gaining any positions, just losing them. But it's all about tyre temperature in this first race. Who can control it? That's Ends running wide. Ends running wide. Calais, well, getting a little bit spooked and spinning round. And just about doing well to avoid the rest of the field, I should say, but coming off of that final corner, a little bit of chaos. So now on the run down towards turn 1, DRS is not enabled, I can assure you of that. Looks like Fine Without holding on to P8 from Phil, from Composite, Nika, Kappa. Oh, Maladonkey, I think was squeezed a little bit there as he got caught up on that inside of the kink of turn 1 as he's shooting towards turn 2. And not been the ideal start for the championship leader, maybe looking for a very good pole, and that's Calais into the wall. And that's a mighty collision for the Romanian driver, but I think he'll know that you got to keep going. There's a race coming up later on. What's happening at the front? Ralph going wide. Ralph going wide. He's onto the grass. That remains Fifi, who sets the fast lap of the race. Cars avoiding him as they run down toward turn 1. It's Fifi from Skipper from Russell now up at the top, and penalties coming out all over the shop. There's been a severe collision. Further back, the safety car has been called out for an incident we're not quite too sure what happened about. Always Rick facing the wrong way, missing a front wing. He's missed the pit lane as well. With that damage, the safety car is out though, so drivers, well, reacting to that as best they can, fill into the pit lane. As is Ends, as is Composite. Hards for Phil and mediums for Ends and Composite. But what are the guys at the front going to do? A bit of chaos at this first start. Not quite sure where to look. I'm just missing that incident which really brought out the safety car, and 2 5-second penalties, I believe, for Tiku and Tiku, Composite, and always Rick. But staying out and into the pit lane comes Russell. Russell taking, utilising his opportunity, and so is Ralph and a few drivers coming into the pit lane this lap in Group 2. So Maladonkey up in a P9 now, really gaining a lot of positions from some of that sort of lap 2, end of lap 1 melee, and going a little bit better, it must be said, for the championship leader. Interesting, all the guys that stayed out. Phil maybe trying the hard tyres, hoping they don't overheat too much, and hoping it will sort of, the pace and the performance will come to him as the stint progresses, and he can go to the end now. You would assume. I would have thought maybe the mediums can go all the way, and I wasn't quite too sure on sort of tyre condition. I should know the tyre temperature. They got quite hot when you were driving around this track. Normally in Suzuka, the tyres get so hot in that first sector, but then you spend the rest of the lap basically cooling them down, despite corners like a spoon. And well, I don't know why they're warming up the tyres. You really don't need to get any temperature into them. You need to do, if you can just survive that run into turn 1, get the tyres warmed up through that first sector, and then you'll be off on your way. You probably want to sort of keep them just marginally green for the restart. The safety car is in this lap. I would imagine Calais. Oh, I think it's Calais a lap down. He might be. I think he is a lap down, unfortunately, Calais. Kappa gets a 5-second penalty for a collision with Tiku. Tiku might be up to 10 seconds now. Got telemetry up for Fifi, who's just sort of controlling his own race. Tiku can get another. Is that another 5-second penalty? Further back, he needs to be careful behind the safety car. And he's got the gap already. I think he's just realised that, and he's off and away now. Fifi was on a brilliant restart. Skipper, well, a little bit sort of not really paying attention to what was going on in front of him. Where's the bit of a gap further behind? His guys just not really getting away. Yellow flags in that final sector. And everyone seems to have gone away nice and cleanly on the run down towards turn 1, despite those yellow flags. And in this battle between Tiku and Kappa, well, they've now got 15 and 10 seconds. Kept hitting each other. It's cost them massively because how short this track is, how short the race is. Those time penalties will not help them. And of course, moving into the next race, that it changes your grid position. So they could be further down, less points in this race. We'll see how it pans out for them. Baker Close to the Bogros, but Fifi's off and away. Fastest lap of the race, 35.9. The first driver into 35. Tiku improving that. Malin Donkey improving that. He's got the pace at the moment. What's happened down in the final sector? Oh, Calais off into the gravel. Off into the gravel. You got always Rick getting close to the rear of Ralph. And it doesn't look like he'll be close enough to make a move into that final corner. Going a little bit wide as well in the process. Cappers into the wall. Doesn't look like he's got any damage on that car. Not sure what happened there. Maybe coming together with Tiku or something like that. They've been going at it all race. I'm not saying he did, but I'm just speculating. Tiku was close to Nika through that final couple of corners, but on the run down the main straight, not quite close enough to really challenge. DRS has been enabled. And going towards turn 1, no moves for him this time around. Looks like Val got really close to the back of Baker. And it's going to be a very interesting race, I must say. Who's in the hot seat for this one? Enz and Phil have already pitted. Same as Russell. Composite, Ralph, always Rick. As Composite gets past Russell. Managed to find a way past. I think that might have been a mistake there. For yellow flags. Who's that for? Is that for Calais? I think it might be always Rick. Always Rick spun. And Phil getting ahead of Enz. I think Enz has made a little bit of a mistake. That puts Phil in the hot seat. It must be said for the drivers that haven't pitted. Phil McConaughey could be taking a win here against the odds for where he was starting. Tiku trying to find a way past Nicky, who ran a little bit wide on the exit. On the run in towards turn number 3. No way through just yet. But looking at who drivers have pitted. Yep, Phil, the highest driver to have pitted, and that could be crucial. If there's no more safety cars, Bill's in a very good position in this race, making those hard tyres work. Flying Vivar's gone a little bit deep, and who's that into the pits? It's Nika coming in to sort of trigger the pit stop phase effectively for the drivers at the front. Can he make an undercut work? Has he found a gap out on track? He might want to try and come out sort of just behind always Rick and just, you know, put the laps in, put the times in, and just try and make a bit of undercut work on some fresh rubber. Flying Vivar still frustrated behind the rear wing of Baker. No way through for him just yet. Tigu's still within touching distance. He raced yesterday as well in Singapore in Group 2 that was streamed. Baker goes a little bit deep into Dunlop. Can he get the car slowed down for the final corner? Yes, he can. Just about keeps it on track. And Flying Vivar and Tigu kicking up a little bit of dust and dirt there as you run down towards turn 1. Again, they just checking to be long enough. The guys just don't seem to be closing in on each other as they're just in that little bit of a train. Looks like, again, Baker goes in a little bit deep. Will that open the door? A Flying Boy Valley. He's going to try and go around the outside. Now, who's going to come on top in this one? It's Baker once again, and he just keeps ahead of Flying Boy Val Tiku, waiting patiently to pick up any pieces. And so is Malak Donkin. Look at this. This has brought Phil into play as well, this little battle for P4. And Bogrovsky closing in. Baker's gone too deep this time around. Will he want the pit lane? No, he won't. Cars sort of bumpering each other along. Is that someone into the wall? Yes, it is. I'm not sure if they took anyone out. I think they've got going as they normally would have been. And who's taking advantage of this one? Malak Donkin making a few places. Phil just behind them. Phil goes defensive. Phil looks to remove down the inside, and that's a bit of an elbow. A little bit of a shoulder barge out the way from Phil. But nevertheless, Tiku still behind Baker. Flying with Val, I think, was the car that lost out really in all of that. Making contact with the wall. Has he got damage? I think he might do. He's got quite big damage, and En's trying to slide up the inside. He's definitely got that pace advantage. Phil is just going to try and keep this one step. Tiku runs a little bit wide. And forgetting on the power, Phil! That's not how you want to, just about keeps it out the wall, losing a couple of positions, flying back into pit lane with that front wing damage. And Phil was in the prime seat to take this one. It's now Enz's turn to be in the hot seat for the race. Win, I would imagine. The Stiggers managed to get ahead of Baker while we were watching the melee further back. Phil, importantly, has got no damage on that car, I believe. As Nika finds a way past always Rick down at turn 1. Good move there from Nick, I would imagine, on the fresher tyres. Having that pace advantage, you would expect it. Maybe a tyre temperature advantage, which just can't get the car turning. I think maybe struggling with tyre temperature a little bit. The car just not gripping up like he would want to be. I think you can see that, especially on the hot tyres. If they get too hot, it will be really difficult. And it's now man like Donkey's turn to have a look at the back of Baker. Baker doing a really good defensive job so far in this race. And Tiku managing to get ahead. And, well, maybe got a bit of pace advantage off on the road. And Phil has managed to get past on composite. That's one of the drivers for Phil. Needs to try and regain this time. But I would imagine, and Bogorovsky's got ahead of Skipper because Skipper's into the pit lane. He's reacting a little bit late, I might say, to... who came into the pits? It was Nicker. Nicker was the driver into the pit lane a little bit earlier on. Look at this, Baker under attack from Maladoggi. Maladoggi goes down the inside. Baker again way too deep into turn one, just can't seem to find his breaking point down there. Maybe a bit of lockups going on for him. Maladoggi up in a P4, and that's crucial for Maladoggi's race. And Nicker sets the fastest lap of the race, setting the pace in this second phase of the Grand Prix. He is past Skipper as Skipper comes out the pit lane. Always Rick is ahead of Skipper 2. And Nicker making his undercut works, flying by Vals at the fast lap of the race with Kappa. Just about keeping the car under control there. Yet to pit in this one. Enz has got ahead of Baker. Baker's into the pit lane also with Maladoggi and Tikku. Enz now into third place. Yellow flag in sector 3. What's gone on there? Always Rick's got a 3-second time penalty. I don't think that's anything to do with the yellow flag. I think whoever had the little bit of a moment down there. There's a lot of drivers into the pit lane. Who's that running very close to the wall? Is it Nicker and Russell? Russell might have had a moment. It might have been Nicker. I'm not sure, to be perfectly honest, what the yellow flags were for there. But the top two into the pit lane, Fifi and Bogorovsky, both of them getting the car slowed down, and Enz will take the race lead now. And ultimately making strategy work for him. I think in these short races, if there is a safety car, it's straight into the pit lane to make your mandatory stop, if there is a mandatory stop. Fifi and Bog, where will they rejoin in this race? I don't want to count my chickens before they've hatched. Oh, yellow flag in sector 3. Who is that for? Looks like just someone a little bit slow. I'm not sure. Baker's into the pit lane though. Change of positions as Bogorovsky doesn't quite get ahead of because Skipper. He's lost out that position, or didn't gain that position, and Nicker now up in a P5, and his undercut has worked massively for him. He's now got the tyre advantage on some of the guys in front. Can he find the benefit of that? As Kappa trying to unlap himself, not gone too well for him as he recently just pitted in this race, so trying to get back ahead, and that's the awkward thing now of ghosting, I think, as well. But Nick will be wanting to make a charge and try and get into that podium, those podium positions. Also another talking point, Maladoggi's lost the position to Tikku. Maladoggi's had a spin. Maladoggi's lost it, or contact, not sure, on those fresh soft tyres, and he's out of the points now. You would have thought he's going to be in that prime seat on the brand new soft tyres to really make a charge through this field. But currently out of the points, and it's not looking good for the championship. It must be said, it looks like we're definitely going to go down to the final race. Nicker has got ahead of Russell. It's all going off at this final corner, and Calay's involved as well. Looks like Russell maybe had an off and run wide. That allowed Nicker to get ahead. Fifi in P6 has got Calais in between. Calais, Kappa go for a move down on the inside of Calais. Gets ahead as they go down towards turn 1. Good move there from Kappa. And actually, always Rick just sliding through as well as he's looking to unlap himself. So actually, it's a good move there from Calais to sort of let the driver through once he'd been overtaken. And we snake once again up towards the top of the circuit. Now towards Dunlop. And what on earth has happened there between Fifi and Russell? It's wing damage for Fifi. Not sure what happened. What on earth was going on there? Looks like one and one's coming to the pit lane and one doesn't. And I don't know what's going on here. And always Rick might be looking to profit from this. He's going to get ahead of Russell. And Kappa might unlap him. Oh no, Fifi, don't do that. I just let him through. Oh, a bit of a swipe there. Always Rick trying to get ahead now. He's trying to go up the inside. This is elbows off racing. He's trying to find the P5 here. Always Rick. That was hard and, well, a little bit questionable at times, but entertaining nonetheless. Always Rick, because he's got damage running a little bit wide. Maybe losing a bit of his front wing. And Phil, as we now actually turn attention to the battle at the front for a brief moment, Phil is slowly edging towards ends. I think he can smell a race win in this one. As what's happened to Calais? They've just, I don't know what's happening. I think he might go off, judging by that front left. Always Rick closing on Fifi. Fifi goes to the inside. Always Rick goes to the outside. Can he make the move round the outside? Runs out of the road a little bit. Might just try and keep his foot round there. He's got the front wing advantage in this little battle, but no way past just yet for Always Rick. And Phil still gaining a little bit on Ends. Never knows, battle might not be over. If Ends' tyres, can they last all the way to the end? Of course, he pitted for them very early on, and Phil surely will have the hard tyre advantage towards the end of this race. And I think he could get quite close, but here comes Skipper at Russell, flicks to the inside, also move up in front. I think that might be a sort of a lapping manoeuvre. Oh no, it's Always Rick and Fifi. Fifi's coming back. Always Rick's going again for the move down the inside. He gets the move stick this time. Skipper's ahead of Russell. Yellow flags, the final corner. Where else would they be? What's happened to Ends? Ends, he's had a spin. He's had a spin. That promotes Phil into the race lead. Phil takes the race lead, and he's now got a gap of what is going to be at least 4 seconds. And Phil just needs to keep it on the back stuff. And, well, avoid back markers. That seems to be the issue. Problem with this lap, if you're 30 seconds or 35 seconds behind, you're going to get lapped. That's the real trouble. It's just carnage with people lapping, people not lapping. Nick are not close enough to Ralph. Challenge for that final spot. You would imagine on the tyre, 6-lap tyre advantage, he could find a way past. Although, starting to imagine the guys who pitted early on are starting to struggle on their medium tyres. And oh, it's a calamity of errors down at turn 1. Bogorovsky coming off worse as he's got front wing damage. I think it was Russell. He seems to be braking quite a bit, if I do say so. And, well, Tiku losing out on that one. He's got damage himself. And that allows someone past. It's one of the lap cars. It's Baker ahead now. Russell, into the pit lane comes Tiku, understandably. Nick is still not quite close enough to Ralph to make a move. Can he get a better exit? Coming out of turn 2. Tiku into the pit lane. Looks like Bog stayed out despite the wing damage. He's valuing track position in these late stages, and there's a bit more contact, a bit more front wing flying about. We've seen how important the front wing is in this race so far. Tiku putting on a set of fresh softs, and he'll be coming out, I would imagine. And further behind, but he's growing wide. There is Nika. Doesn't quite have the car under him with that wing damage. And losing out on that one, and not ideal at the moment for him. Always Rick currently in P5 doing a great job, but of course, if I get up the penalty chart, it has 3 seconds. And Skipper has got ahead of Fifi. And his yellow flag in Sector 1. I don't know what for. There is one. Seems to be fine. We move on. Nick is still close to Ralph in this very close battle between these two over the last couple of laps. He now puts overtake on, he now puts DRS on. Can he get the run down towards turn 1? He's closing in on Ralph. Ralph parks on the middle of the track and now covers the inside. But Nika wants the inside. He's going to go down the inside. Not quite. I think someone coming straight out of the pit lane. Is that Kappa? I'm not quite sure. Nika no way through on the inside there. And Kappa just behind. If he finishes the race, which I'm sure he will, it will be reverse grid pole for Kappa. As Flying with Val and Russell. Flying with Val got a much better exit out of turn 1. He gets ahead. Who's had a little bit of a moment? No. Down in turn 1, it's someone. I think it's Calais facing the wrong way, unfortunately for him. But of course, he'll be starting P2. At least, I would imagine. A final lap of the race. Phil negotiates Calais' car. Couple corners left in this one for Phil. Does there be a move down to turn 1? Not quite on this occasion. I think we'll just ignore the carnage on a couple of corners as Phil was going to come round the final corner of this race to take the win here in Group 2 and, well, maybe push for a late championship run. It's Phil who takes the win here in Group 2. Enz will be second, Ralph in third. If he can hold off Nika. Can he keep the car in the bounds of the racetrack? Yes, he can. No dramas out of the final corner. It will be Ralph in that P3 spot. As Kappa answers his couple of penalties, and always Rick comes across the line. He takes P5 on track, but drops down the order. Fifi and Skipper 5th and 6th. Flying Without will be P8. Russell comes across the line to take P9. Bogorovsky P10 and Maladonki in 11th. Crucially, not scoring in this race, but will start further up the grid. Composite takes the final place in P12. But Phil getting the points in this one. And with Phil in P7, he is not out of question of the championship fight. Definitely driver of the day from Phil, keeping it clean, picking the right strategy, pitting under the safety car for those hard compound tyres. And a good afternoon's work, it must be said, for Phil. Good evening's work, and he picks up 25 points. If he can replicate that in the next race, he's in with a shout. It's all to play for going into this final race. The people to keep an eye on in the following race, we'll go through that in a little bit, but as we have a look at the order as Phil sprays the champagne, I believe for the second time, it's at least the second time in this short series. It's Phil from Enz, Ralph, Nika, Fifi, Skipper, always Rick, Flying Without, Russell, Bogorovsky, Maladonki, Composite, Baker, Tiku, Calais and Kappa, who will have reverse grid pole in a couple, in a race's time. And we will now jump back to Group 1. And then we can, get going as we start all once again, see how Group 1 fare in hopefully dry conditions. I would quite like to see how Group 1 get on in a dry race here. We just jump in. you see how much quicker it was not being wet. Being a dry race. And it should be a very interesting one. Looks like we've lost a driver. I'm pretty sure there was 16. But in Group 1, Shabby on 88. He stays on 88. The top two in the championship stay as they were. Fiscal before tonight was on 72. Black Mamba on 66. Prince on 65. Prince now up onto 80. I know that one off the top of my head. Just trying to have a little look back and see where everybody else sort of finished in the first race of the day. So Jerome was in P1. Where was Fiscal in the order? Fiscal down in P12, not scoring points. Unfortunately, Black Mamba in P8, so picks up 4 points for himself. So Fiscal stays on 72. Black Mamba now up to 70. So all to play for, and well, Shabby needs a big score. Fiscal needs a big score. Prince needs a big score as well. Needs to get at least 12 points to be on terms with Man Like Donkey, but it's sort of an unusual race almost. Man Like Donkey not quite be able to make it work in what seems to be a tricky track to negotiate in this one. So we are readying up now in group number 1. I'm not sure who the driver is. I'm pretty sure we're missing one. I could try and have a guess and work it out. I believe it's Marco Botha, not in race number 2. I don't think he is. But nevertheless, we should have another good race on our hands in the dry, potentially. We'll have to wait and see how that one pans out for the guys in group number 1. But it's their final chance here in the short series to make an impression on the championship and battle away with some of the guys in group 2. Of course, there's a lot of going on in the Constructors' Championship as well. We're thinking very close there as well. Not a great day for Banana Joe Racing, but with spin to win. Well, after before today, 59 points. It looks like there's much more a battle of P3 going on rather than a battle up at the top of this championship. As we just wait for people to load in and have a look at the conditions for this race. And I can now confirm when it loads, if it loads. We're still waiting for players, it says, but we are now into where we return once again for the third time this evening to the Japanese short track. It is overcast condition. Doesn't look like we'll have any rain on the grid here for this race. The black skies are up above. Could suggest there's maybe a little bit coming later on, so it's not going to be easy for the guys in Group 1. We will now welcome back everyone from Group 2. I'm sure they're all jumping on watching, seeing how their teammates get on in this next race. As they have a bit of a break of action. Maybe change the setup a little bit, make some tweaks. Maybe change some of their driving styles or something based off of race 1. I think maybe they might be hoping for a change in race conditions. And of course, if they had a different, maybe a full race, they might be thinking how they can work with that high grid position. See how they can get on from maybe a bit higher up grid than they were. Try and maybe grab a podium or a win. Hopefully, once again. It's not a very quick lobby for loading. So hopefully all is well. We know F1 2020 very reliable. We'll just come onto the track. That's not a good sign. No, the people are leaving. I'll get the latest from. Oh, are we going? I think we might be doing a new one. We will see in a second. I'll just wait till I get an invite. We can have a look. Everybody leaving. So I assume we'll get a new lobby very shortly to avoid any issues. There did look a few issues hereabouts, and well, Niels finishing in style on this formation lap, and I think that will occur as some of the ghosts that aren't actually ghosts. Oh, that's not a thing you want to see. We will flick back to this very nice video of a Red Bull going around the Japanese short circuit instead, because a new lobby is, well, being made. So the key points as we look at a lap of the Japanese short track. Turn 1, best overtaking spot, but it can be a little bit difficult as we found out to make that overtake stick, especially when you're in that sort of slipstream DRS train, and then through this first sector. Well, it was normally the first sector. It's normally follow the leader. We've seen a few guys pouncing on mistakes as guys maybe got tyres a little bit too overheated and the front's just sliding around, understeering. As it comes back out onto that main circuit, a lot of action happening at the top at the end of the third sector. Top of the circuit as you sort of cut across and what actually is the east circuit. We're running on what is the Japanese east circuit. The west circuit basically doing the bits that you don't do in the east circuit. So both tracks actually miss out that sort of proper final chicane that of course is quite legendary. And well, just waiting out for things to get going once again. But a fun fact I've just been sent, Kappa and Multirab, their team, it actually stands, so they're running the D and Team Racing, which stands for Drink and Drive, not the game racing. So there we go. That's a bit of fun. I'm sure the Group 2 guys will be wanting to get this race underway as quickly as possible to get on with the racing action as soon as possible. The standings have been updated though. That's brilliant news from whoever did that. Thank you very much to whoever did that. So we get live, up-to-date standings for this next race. I'm not sure of it. I would imagine that's... Oh no, both groups. And well, things are looking very, very tasty going into this final race. I can confirm, Mallet Donkey still leads the championship on 92 points. Shabby still in P2 on 88. They both didn't score points in that previous race. The more interesting bit we look at is, well, Phil has somehow managed to put himself up into P3 with that win. A massive result for him, of course, he will be starting at the back of the grid for the next race. Prince up on 80, Nika up on 73, and Fiscal on 72. That number on 70, who's still within, I'll work out who's still within mathematical chances of winning the championship. I believe Wesley P8 does not, yeah, he's 30 points behind, so the top 7 can still win the championship. We're focusing on Mallet Donkey, Shabby, Phil, Prince, Nika, and Fiscal, and also Black Mamba. In a couple moments' time. But for everyone in Group 2, let us know how your race got on. I tried this last night for a bit of a discussion, but it didn't really. No one. I can't think of the right method. No one jumped on that train. The favourite going into this one. I think, judging off grid positions, I would imagine Shabby didn't score points but retired. He is starting near the back. Mallet Donkey has a decent grid position, and of course, well, the favourite going into this one, and currently now third in the championship. Phil, of course, is on 84, but is starting near the back of the grid. At the back of the grid. I don't think anyone retired in Group 1 and Group 2, so we should have a lot of work to do, but if we make the strategy work like we did in that last race, it's not out of the question of how that one could go. I think also the setup for this evening allows is also the fact that we've got people can look at and they can react to what the strategy calls were. You know, if you're in Group 2 watching Group 1, or if you're in Group 1 watching Group 2. And also just for the second race, it's a carbon copy, but of course a little bit different. Judging by some of the lobby settings, that race we were meant to do in Group 1 does have dry. It was going to be dry all the way through, so we've got overcast conditions for the race, but dry for these guys to get stuck into. But, well, if overcast, if the track temperatures are a little bit cooler, I don't think F1 goes in that deeply, but if they are, it could help with that tyre temperature debate we were having a little bit earlier on. I hope everyone's enjoying my lap around the Japanese short track. We've seen it quite a bit so far. Hopefully it's not too bad. I didn't think it would get this much sort of coverage. In the end, it's only just a filler to skip out some of the loading screens. It means we don't have to sort of stop the stream while we chop and change between lobbies and stuff. But I'm a bad little lap around the Japan short track in the Red Bull, of course. Haven't run in that Honda engine this year for the, well, maybe last time, I'm not sure. Red Bull are going to be using in the future. See what Honda runs out. But nevertheless, are we going to go through that? Going pretty soon. The engine sound is very loud. I'll turn it down. That should be better. I can play around the settings. Apologies for the not being able to hear me. I should be better now. Hopefully we can get going soon. We are readying up in the lobby, so we can get going for Group 1 relatively early on. But thanks, Tony, for the comment, Val. And it is turned down now, so hopefully when it plays now, it should be a little bit quieter, and you can hear my very inspirational comments and witty jokes clearly. But yeah, through turn 1, very clear point for overtaking where most of the action happens, and actually surprisingly up in that final corner as well, as maybe some drivers not quite adapted to this short circuit yet and just running that a little bit wide on the exit, on the midpoint. Sort of where the car is, sort of there. Oh, judge that to perfection, but nevertheless, we'll get going for Group 1 relatively soon. Hopefully I've turned it down enough so you can still hear me. I'll go a little bit more. It's good for the future to know that as well. Yeah, there's only volume when I play the lap, but nevertheless, we are not far off the start of the third race of the evening in Group number 1. The people to keep an eye on, like I said earlier in this race, Shabby, Prinz, Fiscal and Black Mamba, they're the drivers that still have the mathematical chance of winning this championship. And as we come back to the Suzuka circuit once again, overcast conditions but dry conditions. There will be no rain in this race, and well, those two guys on the bottom right are in sync. There's one guy at the front on the bottom right, and the guy just behind him that's sort of covered by another guy in an orange vest. They're literally got the same movements. So far, that's the most exciting thing that's happened in this race. Of course, we haven't got going yet. Hopefully, there'll be a little bit more exciting action to come. But what tyres have drivers opted to go with? Let's have a look. That's an interesting start from somebody. Very aggressive tyre warming up very early on, but nevertheless, no troubles there at all. And we will see now. So, the tyres are Niels starting on pole position on softs. You've got Alex on the softs as well. Fiscal, Leo, Bosmos on the mediums. Black Mamba, Invisible, and Multi on the softs. Brent on mediums. Softs to Big Bet and Prinz. Mediums to Wesley, Jerome, Jari, and Shabby, all on soft tyres as well. Shabby, a lot of work to do. Of course, he's in the prime position in this race to take advantage. Up at the top of the championship, of course, 4 points off of the lead. Prinz 8 points behind Shabby, 12 points off of the top. He needs a good race, but currently down in P11. So a lot of work to do from some of the championship protagonists in this final race of just before we start the season gets going on Monday for Remaining League and Tuesday for C2 and C3. It's just the last sort of event action, if you like, and hoping to have a great race in this Group 1. A lot of fast drivers, maybe some looking to make a challenge in their respective tiers. But now we're looking to get going. The predicted pit stop strategy has come and gone, and the lights are here now for the third race. 4 and 5 red lights here in Japan. And it's lights out, and away we go for the final time for Group 1. Looks like Niels has got a very good start, and also Fiscal already making up places. Shabby and Jerome. And Alex going almost free wide into turn 1. Niels goes running wide. And actually, who's that making up positions? Just like Leo up in the first place in this race, followed by Alex. Bosmos into third place. Good start from him. Fiscal getting ahead of Niels. He has P4. Black Mamba P6. Invisible 7th. Brent is 8th. Prince 9th. Multirab 10th for Jerome in 11th. Shabby making some places off the back of the grid. He's now up into 11th place. Shabby looking to get aggressive in this opening couple of laps and really make his advantage felt and getting into the points. Prince all into pit lane. That's a bit of strategy from Prince. What's happened to Leo? I think the timing order being a bit rubbish. Down towards turn 1. At least it's the fastest lap of the race. DRS not quite enabled. Black Mamba having a look on the inside of Niels. No move though this time around. I need to wait for this order to sort itself out. I'm not quite sure who's where in the opening couple of laps, but Black Mamba putting the pressure on Niels, but Invisible trying to line him up, sort of waiting to pounce on a mistake. Bosmos has run wide, and Niels just about gets ahead of him as you go up around the hill, round the outside from Black Mamba. They will compromise for the next part. He's been able to contact. Bosmos runs wide, and now the calamity happens on this final corner. Bosmos wants in the pit lane. He can't find it. And now running out of this final corner, someone's in the wall. That could be Bosmos. I'm not too sure. It might even be Leo, who's dropped down the order massively. May make a mistake on his own. Shabby, though, down the inside of Brent. Almost. This comes together. The guy who's at the top of the championship. Someone's down the inside as well. Not sure who that is. It might be the Big Bear. No, it's Multirab. They both have blue cards. Apologies. That VSC. Jerome is out. Jerome is out of the race. Leo did spin off of the final corner. I think all on his own. He's got front wing damage hitting that wall. Prince, well, he's looking happy at the moment, pitting on that previous lap. End of lap 1. The VSC is out, so the race is neutralised for a brief moment, but it's all kicking off in the race. Bosmos just running wide, and just that top corner, that final corner, everything just seems to kick off as cars bunch together. Quite a few cars into the pit lane now, including Shabby. And how many places can Prince gain? Can he gain any places? Now these cars are pitting under VSC conditions. He's been hampered a little bit here. If they can get the jump on him, DRS enable racing once again. He'll be wanting to get going as quickly as he can. Up at the front. Can anyone pounce on a slow restart? Multirab under pressure from Big Bet. I don't think any moves just yet. Prince starting to make up places. He gets ahead of some of the guys who have pitted. Is that invisible? No, it is invisible. Oh, sorry, it is invisible. Shabby is ahead of them though. So it might have worked out for Shabby despite... change it for the front. Fiscal's got ahead of Alex. That bit, I thought it was rain. I know it's dry. It should be dry. Fiscal getting ahead. The times don't seem to be representative up at the front, or definitely not between Niels and Black Mamba. But as we go through the S's, Alex now down to P2. Fiscal up into the lead, which has implications for the championship. Prince setting the fast lap race. He's setting the pace on those hard compound tyres. And what's happened is that Niels in a moment. Niels into the wall. Needs to be careful, and cars go round his outside. They've managed to skate around him with no troubles at all. But Niels losing quite a bit of places there in this one. And Big Bear closing on the back of Multirab, but no move just there. And well, these two are gaining quite a few positions. Who's been the biggest gainer though in this opening couple of laps? Well, Brent up 5, Big Bear up 4. Up 5 for Shabby now, and he's got ahead of Bosmos. Bosmos into the pit lane. Shabby setting the pace with a fast lap of the race. Not quite sure what the yellow flags are for. They're somewhere, but Shabby flying at the moment. And, well, Prince was hampered a little bit with that strategy decision, just not quite going his way. And he now will be hoping to just try and set the laps in, push on now, and sort of just try and keep close to Shabby. Shabby gone on to the mediums industry, so a difference in strategy from these two. And MP9 at the moment, big gap in front of him, the yellow flag in sector 3. I don't know what it's for, unfortunately. Multirab still doing a good defensive job. He did one in the last race as well. Multi good with the defensing. He did it in the wet. Can he do it in the dry now? But he's got a cool customer in Big Mare behind him. Multi goes in a little bit deep. Big Bear takes advantage. Goes around the outside. Multi just about holds the spin. Does a really good job there. And Wesley now couldn't find a way past Multi. Multi actually doing a really good job there to just uphold the spin and not spin more. Which can be so easy to do. Brent losing vision to getting a place on the Black Mamba. Black Mamba though, very clever with his defence there. And if he can just keep ahead, he has the outside, and I think you have the advantage if you're on the outside there. It's it's hard to sort of make a dive, if you like, if you're on that inside line. So good defensive work there. Someone's had a moment, have they? I don't know. Duran has left the session, unfortunately. His short series is basically over despite winning that last race. And into the pit lane comes Black Mamba. Wesley's got ahead of Multi-Rab into that final corner. It seems to be a very popular overtaking spot. Here comes Multi. We've seen how quick he was in a straight line in the first race. He looks maybe just had the straight line advantage. Down in towards turn 1. He looked for the move on the inside but couldn't quite find it that time around. I think in that camera the heat coming off the back of the cars looks like it's raining, but it's not. No rain in this one. Yellow flag's out again. Not sure what for. They're just sort of a little bit annoying now. And Shabby, look at this, up in a P7. Black Mamba has got ahead of Prinz, so not quite working how Prinz would have wanted. Where are the yellow flags? And the run down towards turn 1. Fiscal still leading Alex. Alex still within a second. Let's have a look at the temperature. We can start comparing the ERS levels over 10 laps into this 27 lap race. Wesley getting ahead of Multi-Rab. That move was down at turn 1. Or Multi coming back at Wesley because Wesley got ahead. Well, he stayed ahead, didn't he? Yeah, so Multi, not giving this one up. Another yellow flag. I'm not sure what they're for. I'm going to look on the mini-map. It all seems fine. But the battle up at the front is very, very close. The top 4 separated by, well and truly not a lot. Big Bear's got to go around the final corner. Can he challenge Brent down in towards turn 1? I think he might be doing Brent codes to the inside. Can Big Bear go round the outside? This is not a great camera. I'm going to watch it. Big Bear just forced a little bit wide there. He's still keeping his foot in there, though, round the outside. I think he's just run out of the road a little bit there. And that's just tuck in behind Brent for the time being. No way through just yet for him. And the battle carries on with Wesley not too far behind and not too far off joining this battle. I feel like the yellow flag is just coming up every time a certain driver goes through that final section. I'm not sure who the certain driver is. Fiscal still leading away, though, up at the front. We might be seeing a bit of an undercut here. Shabby is in a great position, despite getting caught up in that drama earlier on, as Big Bear goes down the inside of Brent this time. And I think he's got the move done in the first part of turn 1. And he's up into P3 now on track. But Shabby definitely gaining on Multi-Rab, I think, as Bosmos and Leo wheel to wheel. Bosmos just having the advantage. And again, the outside seems to work. And Leo into the wall. Is he out? He is. Leo is out the safety car. Has it been called out? I would imagine so. It was a hefty collision down at turn 3 on the entry to turn 4. We go at turn 1 once again. No. Oh, virtual safety car has been called out, so a brief moment to relax in this race. Who will come into the pit lane? Will anyone take the opportunity? Shabby's the first to, but I wouldn't expect him to. He hasn't. Black Mamba stays out of, of course, he's pitted. I think all the guys maybe that can take a better opportunity a little bit farther back. But what's the difference between the race leader and Shabby? We'll see in a little bit. Of course, on the VSC, not quite representative. Who's pitted in this one? So staying out and guys working out maybe that... Oh, no, we got Alex into the pit lane. Big Bet into pit. So is Brent. Just taking advantage of this VSC while it's still out. And, well, Multi coming in as well. Promotes Wesley. Wesley staying out. We're racing once again. Green flag racing. And Wesley currently on the medium tyre. So wants to go a little bit longer into this race to make the softs work. Alex coming out now. Where is Shabby? That's probably the most important thing. A little bit of a duel in the pit lane, of course, but Shabby up in a P3 now. This is race and championship critical. Shabby 2K could be looking at a race win here. He's not too far off the front. Black Mamba has just keeping ahead of Prinz, Alex, Big Bear and Brent. They've now come in 6th, 7th and 8th respectively. Jari a little bit further back in a P9. Invisible rounds out the top 10. But in this race, well, Shabby 15 seconds off the lead. He does have the net race lead. Well, you definitely would have thought. And only the top 2 haven't pitted in this one. Well, when he comes into the pit lane, here comes Prinz though. We'll ignore that conversation for a brief moment. Prinz is going to go around the outside at turn 1. He's going to try. He runs on the road a little bit. Can he find a route around the outside? He's going to keep hunting for it. Maybe have the inside for the next corner, but not quite on this occasion. No way through. Brent close to the back of Big Bet. Again, no way through just yet. And Prinz still right behind Black Mamba, who's got a little bit more ERS to defend, who judges it a bit better. Prince maybe looking to move down the inside. He's got a better exit. He's a wheel to wheel. Black Mamba on the grass there. And that compromises exit. Who's going to get DRS in this one? I would have thought it was Prince, and it is Prince. And he should be off and away into P4 now. The only question point here, Shabby's made his pit stop, is how his medium tyres will fare towards the end. We saw Enns maybe struggling a little bit with them in the Group 2 race earlier on, as he took his medium tyres a bit longer. So will the advantage swing the way of Prinz later on in this race? The gap is 2.3 seconds. And when he's in the zone, Prinz very, very quick. He's very quick normally, but if he's just in that sweet spot, he can be ridiculously quick. So we could see a battle forming. A gap 2.3 seconds at the moment. Big Bear now closing towards Alex. Bobo from the medium tyres. Brent went for the hards, interestingly enough. So maybe as they go a bit further and the tyres get a bit hotter, we could see something change here. But I think maybe one of the reasons we're seeing a few drivers go off at that final corner as temperatures increase, they're just understeering. Completely just don't quite have the grip, going a little bit too deep. And there seems to be a couple of lines as well. Some cars going on that inside line. We saw it work really well for Prince as he got ahead of Black Mamba. Some cars taking a bit of a wider line, maybe trying to get a better run down the straight. One of them is Big Bear, and he's out in the slipstream in the DRS. He wants the inside of... No, that sounds wrong. Wants the inside line when trying to overtake Alex, and there's a bit of contact. I think the two lines just sort of crossed at the wrong point. And Big Bear has got damage, and that will compromise him now. And Brent, I'm sure, would have seen that damage flying off the Big Bear's car. And Big Bear will be starting to struggle, and I think you can maybe just see that a little bit. He's still keeping with Alex pretty well here. But I think just drifting a little bit wider than he would have wanted to. Who's going to have the advantage on the run down towards turn 1 again? If we turn our attention back to the battle a little bit further up the road, is Big Bear maybe looking to line one up here? Not quite. Since we've been talking and looking at this battle, as Physical's into the pit lane from the race lead, and so is Wesley. Imagine they're both going for soft compound tyres. They're going to drop back a little bit in this race, unfortunately for them. Probably should have pitted on the VSC in this race. And I think that's been the big sort of talking point of short track this season, this short season. I've actually got away with it, maybe. Where are they going to slot out in this one? They're going to be right in the battle. They'll have the freshest of tyres. See where Fiscal... I'm trying to find him. There he is. Can he get ahead of... He's just got ahead of Jarry. No, Fiscal coming up. Where is... It's very confusing. Brent is still ahead of Fiscal. Big Bear starting to struggle a little bit more, dropping back from Alex a touch. Oh my gosh, how has Prince got so close to Shabby? Shabby starting to struggle. Shabby needs to stay ahead for the championship. He needs to maximise his points tally. But then, of course, a win would really bring Prince into play. It would put Prince on 105, 13 points ahead. I need to look at a battle somewhere else because it's all going up to talking about the race win. Jarry's got ahead of Brent. I think maybe next to the final corner. Fiscal going down the inside of Big Bear. He's going to trying to make sort of best use of these soft tyres as he can. And well, Big Bear just run. No grip at all. Runs wide. That promotes Jarry up in a P6. Because if Prince win, he goes up onto 105, 13 points ahead of man like Donkey. So it still sort of is a quite a catchable target, you would have thought. If Shabby wins, man like Donkey has to win. He forces that issue. And we look at battle at the front. He's so close now. I think just, well, those 17 lap old mediums starting to fall apart a little bit. I think Shabby would have been wishing he would have gone onto the hard tyres instead. There's another battle coming further back, and that's Wesley on Brent, and make these guys on the soft tyres just starting to attack now. They've got the grip in comparison on this short track. Well, we've seen already, grip is everything. So far, Fiscal challenging Alex now. How far can they go in this race? Just ahead of Jarry. Jarry keeping within touching distance. Blue flags are out for some reason. Prince, though, flicks to the outside. Prince is coming here at Shabby. Can he go clean around the outside of turn 1? He's made the move stick. Prince up into the race lead. And he makes his championship wide open. More than just a 2-horse race. What is Bosmos doing over there? I do not know. Let's change the positions as Fiscal goes ahead of Alex. He swoops around the outside. Can Jarry get involved? Good exit though, and Wesley's got ahead of Big Bear, it seems, as well. Further back, but look at Prinz, he's off and away. Bosmos gets 5 seconds spinning the pit. Let's go from bad to worse. Shabby, I think, just needs to get to the end at this point. Keep ahead of Black Mamba. who's also in the fight for the championship. And I think, well, after this, Black Mamba's going to be close. He'll be on 85, so not enough to win it, but definitely pushed himself up the order. He was a tall order on 70 points, currently 22 off Man Like Donkey. Nevertheless, though, Shari coming to attack Alex now. DRS and ERS enabled. Alex does have DRS as we go down towards turn number 1. He's going to try and make a move around the outside. If it was the fastest lap of the race, there he runs wide. Can Wesley slot one up the inside? He's on the fresher tyres, but just can't quite get the exit he would have been wanting. And Brent very close to the Big Bear as well. The gap out front, 1.2 seconds between Shabby and Prinz. And my oh my, Prinz will go up to 105, 13 points clear. Shabby, if he gets 18 points, which he's looking to do. Niels has got ahead of Brent in all this while I was looking down at the championship. Jerry's got a good exit this time around. Alex just getting DRS. He's 8 tenths behind. Fiscal in front, looks to the inside now, and surely with that bit of a slipstream, can he go ahead into turn 1? They're going to go wheel to wheel. He's just through. Here comes Wesley, though. Wesley slots up the inside as well. Wesley taking opportunity and taking advantage of sort of Alex being a little bit offline. If I do the maths as best I can, Shabby will be on 106 points. So Shabby will be 1 point ahead of Prinz. So Shabby can't lose any more position, but he's actually gaining from Black Mamba still. So Prinz needs a fast as that, but I would imagine with the guards on soft tyres, that's going to be pretty much impossible. Jari, he's got brilliant pace and really attacking, really keeping with Fiscal very well. As a car facing the wrong way, it might be Brent. It is Brent. On next to turn 1, Multi will, I'm sure, be promoted up. Might not quite be promoted up into P10. But Jari's doing a brilliant job to keep in the battle with these guys on fresh softs, on his hard compound tyres. 21 lap hold, he's made the strategy work for him in this race. We're on the final lap of the race though. We'll watch this battle then. We'll flick to the leaders as they're just going into turn 1 now. Black Mamba in a bit of a race of his own, but Fiscal under attack a little bit now from Jari. Jari's got DRS as he runs down towards turn number 1. He's going to go down the inside. He's going to have the high ground. This will be a brilliant move, especially considering the tyre comparison. He's gone up the inside. He still has the inside, which now switched to the outside, which we've seen as a favourable sort of move into turn number 3. And he is ahead. Great move from Jari. Why is the C4 champion and up in a C1 this season? This upcoming season. Sorry, Prinz has won the race. And while we're watching that, Shabby will take P2. And it means Shabby is on 106, Prinz is on 105. Black Mamba comes on the final corner to take the final podium spot. Jari takes 4th. Wesley's just about nipped ahead of Fiscal. I think his tyres maybe just overheating a bit too much. Alex has got Fiscal on the line, maybe running out of fuel or something. I don't know, but Big Bear in 8th. Niels in 9th. Multi takes P10. And Brent is in the pit lane in P11 for a set of softs. Has Brent finished, or has he just like avoided the finish? No, Brent is not finished. I don't know how he avoided that, but fair play to Brent. He's going to a lap to. He's going to have to negotiate cars that have finished. I've not really seen this one before. This will be fun. As Brent's got to work his way now around ghosted cars, of course, that aren't really going to move for him. That's quite funny. Gone up the inside, and some good overtaking there from Brent, but Prinz takes the race win. Unfortunately, not just quite enough to put himself in a championship winning position. He's now, Shabby would have hoped for the win, but Prinz ain't getting the strategy right ultimately on that one. So Shabby on 106 is the one we have to keep an eye on. Drivers that can still catch him, it's going to be between Phil and Man Like Donkey for the championship. It's either Phil, Man Like Donkey, or Shabby to take the championship. Of course, Prinz is sat on 105, so could be picking up a podium spot. Currently sat in 2nd place in the overall standings. We'll see who can end up on the podium on the overall list. But a great race and strategy, well, coming down to it. It's all very close. Man Like Donkey needs a 3rd. Phil needs a win. Thank you, Bog, for the standings update. We'll have a look. It's going to be Invisible gets fastest lap, so not quite getting that point. But Prinz, Shabby, Black Mamba, Jari, Wesley, Alex, Fiscal, Big Bear, Niels, Multi, Brent, Invisible, Bossmos, Leo, and Jerome round out the order. And we now turn our attention once again to Group 2 for the finale of the finales, for the final race of this short track season. We flick back to the nice little transition. I'll jump into Lobby 2. But it's simple. It's as simple as that. Man Like Donkey needs a third place, and Phil needs a win. 13 points. There are between... No, it's 14 points between... I'm just talking rubbish now. It is 14 points between Shabby and Man Like Donkey. And also, thank you for pointing this one out, Bob. If Phil wins, Man Like Donkey needs P2 to take the championship. So, a little bit of permutations. Man Like Donkey is in the best place to do this one. In comparison to Phil, Phil is starting last, unfortunately for him, because he won the last race really well. Sort of throw himself into this championship battle and see how far he can get up the order. But it's Shabby and Prince, who are currently first and second. Or in this race, we'll see who can take the win, but the focus will be a little bit on Phil and Man Like Donkey, as they're the ones fighting up at the front for the championship. I would imagine that Banana Joe Racing, Man Like Donkey, and Black Mamba's team have won the championship. Black Mamba's third, probably sort of putting the nail in the coffin on that one and securing that one off for them. But it's all come down to this. 4 weeks of racing, 2 races every week, a reversed championship grid, and then a reversed race grid of race 1 for race 2. And my oh my, we've run over time about half an hour, but nevertheless, we're in for a cracker. It's sunny skies here in Suzuka, I can confirm. And well, who could be taking this one? I believe it's either Kappa or Calais on pole. I know that much off the top of my head. And we are on the grid. I cannot see the grid, but we are on it. Oh no. That's not what you want to see. So we'll see what people are saying and try and get back to the action as quick as possible. We're going to have another restart, so... Well... I've just been told that maybe there's a chance for the constructors. I don't think there is a chance in the constructors for a change of position at the top. Of course, only... Well, there might be actually. It's going to be close. It will be close. FRT Motorsport did require a double win. So I'm not sure. Of course, with Fretti not racing, I think the constructors is pretty much nailed on. Because there are a lot of points up for grabs. I would imagine the constructors is sealed off, but nevertheless it could get a little bit close. But we're just having a few little lobby glitches. We had that in the first race or second race for Group 1, and then it produced a brilliant race after that. So hopefully we can get exactly the same and another great race to end the season. I might just take a little bit of breather, work out some championship things, and then we will return when the racing resumes and we're back into a lobby. You can put your favourites in the chat. That'd be fun. Who do you think has got the best chance of winning it? Is it three drivers that have the chance? Shabby, Phil, and Man Like Donkey. Maybe drop your final podium predictions as well. That could be fun. Too. And yes, we'll see everybody in a little bit. it looks like we are not too far off getting going once again for the final race. In the final round for Group 2. And well, no one dropped their predictions in, so a bit like last night, we'll just move on from that one. And yes, Prince Phil can get the championship. It does require a win, and a man like Donkey needs to be third or lower. It's not like the question for Phil. He came from quite far back in that first race to win. He made the strategy call, made it work. I wouldn't put it out of the question. We'll see what the conditions are going to be like in a moment's time when we get down onto the grid. Hopefully no issues this time around, and we get another great race for the viewer coming up, and sunny skies once again. Not a cloud above. I believe the definition is clear. Blue skies. See the Ferris wheel. Looking pretty good. Guys selecting their setups and strategies for the race, what tyres they're going to be start on. Of course, that sort of was a very important point. Prince saying the hards are OP, they need to be used. We did wonder that, we saw, especially with the tyre temperature issue, hard seemed to be the best way. That's why Prince really won the race, went for the much better strategy call, and beat Shabby basically just on, I'd say, on the tyre choice. And Prince saying he didn't really expect it to win, but it came out of nowhere. I think, yeah, we can see, well, how that happened there, really, and just making those tyres work for him in that previous race, and getting Shabby in the last couple of laps. But of course, wasn't quite enough to put him on that top step as he went in. Shabby does lead, but while Prince sort of makes it a little bit more interesting and multi-game of sport to his teammate Kappa on pole position in this race. What tyres have people opted to go for? It's medium for Kappas, it's medium for Baker, and for the rest of the grid, it's soft compound tyres. Everyone wants a good start here, everyone wants to be quick out the blocks, it seems. Well, a few may be thinking a little bit further into the race, but we'll run through the order once again. It's Kappa from, see the prediction down below, but we've seen the hard seems to be the preferred tyre. Calais, Tiku, Baker, Composite, Maladonkey, Borovsky, Russell, Flying Without, Always Rick, Skipper, Fifi, Nika, Ralph, Enns, and last but not least, Phil. And as we come to the end of the formation lap and around the final corner, ready to get going. That's a cracking camera angle for Kappa there, but Calais and the front of the grid slotting into position. We wait for Phil to be the final car to jump into grid position, and there he goes. So we can now get going in this race. As we look for the lights here, we now have 5 red lights here in Japan for the final time this evening, and it's lights out and away we go in Group 2. Looks to be a good start from Kappa on those medium tyres. Let's get away well. Who's that? Is that Baker coming to make it 3 wide just behind him towards turn 1? Can they get it round? Oh, bit of contact for someone. Tickers up into P2. Calais just holding into third, and Baker maybe trying to send one up the inside now to get into P3. Now the inside Carnage a little bit further back. Who's going off there? Russell 6th, Composite 7th, Burgos 8th, Always Rick 9th, Flying Without 10th, Fifi 11th. He just slots in behind Flying Boy Val. Maybe looking for a move. He's done a bit of a switchback line here, bit of contact. A bit of argy-bargy up the hill now, and he's going to maybe run out of road himself a little bit. Puts one tyre on the grass. Trying to go around the outside, there is Nika. DRS is enabled. Nika gets the move done just about cleanly enough. I don't know if that's where the damage was coming from. Is that Calais into the pits? Must be, or it's just the timing order being a bit rubbish. I think it's the time order just being a bit rubbish. Phil making a move. Oh, Ralph's gone too deep. Oh, got the wrong car actually. Phil taking advantage of that. Of course, one of the 2 championship protagonists in this one. And yeah, Calais did not drop down the order 9 places or whatever it was. But man like Donkey already into P5, holding station at the moment and going strongly in this race. And we'll now see coming out Baker's the fast lap of the race, setting the pace early on. DRS enabled in this one. And Bogrovsky very close to the back of Composite, but no moves just down. Everyone is still in a bit of a slipstream train. And we'll now see what comes of this. As the gaps start to spread out, that's when the overtaking will come, as people lose DRS, they lose the slipstream. And Phil currently down in P11. Bit of changing further back. Is Clay? No, Clay's in P3, I think. Maladonki's got ahead of Baker. Baker's made a mistake. At some point, Maladonki looking to put himself up into third and up into a championship winning position. If he gets ahead of Calais, he's just about done it done. Oh, Calais' been pushed off quite wide there. Still says he's last, but he's not. And well, that one could go to the stewards. So we could have a change of championship position. I'm not too sure. Well, I don't want to be too picking the bones out of that one. Oh, Maladonki's gone wide. Calais straight back in the battle. Why is he last? Because he's not. And Calais almost managed to get back past Maladonki. Someone's gone off. Ralph had a spin down there. He's making his way back round now onto the circuit, but some of the gaps on to spread out. Tiku leading away from Kappa, and Calais ahead of just behind Maladonki still, as Nico Bogrossi swapping positions in the battle for 8th and 9th. Maladonki dropping out of a championship winning position. I think he had an incident on his own there. He doesn't have wing damage, but had an incident, I think, just on his own there, and allowed Baker to get through and allowed Clay to close back up after Clay went wide at turn 1, or was pushed at turn 1. I'll let people decide on that one. I'm sure we might hear about it afterwards. Final Val going down the inside of Composite, and he looks like he's just got ahead, just behind though. Willy Will Nick has gone in a bit too deep, and he just saved that one. No, he hasn't, and Flying Val's gone around. Flying Val's out of the race. Flying Val is out. Nicker gets away with it, and well, not sure what happened there. The safety car has been called out. As people pitted as well. Get the tyres up. Have a little look. Phil onto the hard tyres already. Oh, and if he waited a little bit, Phil, he would have gained a lot more. A lot of drivers into the pit lane now. Tiku and Kappa both stay out. They will have to rejoin behind the safety car. You would have thought the advantage goes to the likes of Baker and Maladonki. Collision further back offers a penalty. Who had to wait there? Was that did Maladonki have to wait? I think he did. I think Maladonki was held in the pits because his teammate in this race is Baker. Maybe. I think it might be. Maladonki compromised a little bit here because of strategy. Has Phil gained? Billy's going to go round the outside down at turn 1. That's brilliant. Oh, Phil just gets ahead of Calais. And Phil puts himself well up the order. And in my books, Phil is a net second. I'm thinking Phil is a net second. The top guy's coming to lead now. Kappa's coming into the pit lane. I think he realised it. Maybe he just missed out on it. Kappa's picked up 5 seconds as well. It's gone from bad to worse. Missing out on that. He did it in the last race. He's doing it again. Surely, if Phil can get ahead of Kappa here, Skip is into the pit lane as well. This race has got very exciting for Phil. All of a sudden, starting right at the back. P16. He was last. He's now up into third. What I will imagine will be an effective P2 in this race. Phil McConaughey has a chance to win this championship, and a very, very good one. I must say. And I thought he may have got the strategy a little bit wrong, just being a bit unfortunate and pitting just before the safety car. But it's very, very, very much worked out for him. Will Tiku realise his mistake, and if he thinks it's a mistake, or just sort of go with the soft, I think he's in a value track position rather than being maybe caught up with some of the melee further behind. Man like Donkey has picked up 5 seconds for a collision with Always Rick, and that... Where is Always Rick? Always Rick's into the pit lane. Maybe he's got front wing damage from that little bit of a collision, because he's on fresh hard. He's recently pitted, and things go from bad to worse for the championship leader. Of course, we didn't actually see what happened there, but 5 seconds will be added to the donkey's final time. I wasn't calling him a donkey, that's his name, of course. My prediction, well, safety car is in this lap. As things stand, Shabby is the champion. Kappa gets 5 seconds for a collision with Calais. It still says Calais last. He's not. Hopefully he doesn't get blue flags at any point. We're going very, very shortly. And he's left it quite late. Ends caught up in all this as well. Coming down in P13, but off Tiku goes now. Phil close, and it's been a bit messy further behind. Clay not getting the best of restarts, I don't think. Clay still on softs, just like it. And Kappa trying to go down the inside, not quite having the room at the moment. Up in front, is it Baker running a little bit wide into turn 1. Oh, and that's a spin. Someone's had a spin. Kappa's off. No, Kappa's off. Well, we thought it was going badly for him. What's happening up here? It's like 5 wide. Russell, Fifi, Bog, and I think Nick are involved in this one. Bit of melee coming off of the safety car restart. Maladocki gaining a few positions from all this. Phil is ahead of Baker though. Baker's facing the wrong way. Phil McConaughey is up into second place in this race with 16 laps left to go. Phil is in an effective race winning position with Tiku having to pit. It's all kicking off further behind as they're still duelling away from that sort of lap 1 coming together. Gutting for Kappa. I don't really know what happened down at turn 1. Someone's going to sign someone up the inside. That's Malan Donkey. He knows he has to get up to P2 now. And he needs to get ahead and catch up to Composite. He couldn't find a way past Baker that time around. Oh, what's going on? Is it a VSC? No, it's just yellow flags absolutely everywhere. Tigger's at the fastest lap of the race. Then it ends. And Phil, well, he needs to just keep within it. Does he have damage? He does not have damage. So looking good for Phil at the moment. DRS has been enabled. And Skipper closing in on a man like Donkey. He really is closing in on a man like Donkey. Will Skipper go for a move? Yes, he will. Man like Donkey thought about covering it a little bit too late on that. And the championship leader now, or previous championship leader down to P6 Russell, getting ahead of Bog. That looks a little bit messy. Yellow flags are still absolutely everywhere for some reason. And Fifi in P9. But I do not know what was that at all. Bit of a mess indeed, Multi, but what's happening to Phil though? Because Composite is now looking for a move down the inside, and Phil, it just seems to really be going nowhere at the moment. Composite has really caught up, and the battle between Baker and Maladonki is sort of stalled them. They're quite a way behind. And Phil had quite a gap. Doesn't seem to have any damage on the car. The hard tyres worked very well with him earlier on. There's been a collision between Kappa and Calais. Is Clay now? I think Clay actually now is P15. Or not, I don't know what position he's in. I think he might be 13th. Bogrowski in the pit lane, so Ralph gets ahead of him. Phil needs to keep Composite behind him. Composite quick driver. Phil runs a little bit wide into turn 1. He needs to start using that overtake a little bit more, I think, and build a bit more of a gap. This is a crazy race. Phil has gone from last. He's now got Ralph in front of him. It looks like his teammate. It's not his teammate though. That's Fretty from Group 1. And now he needs to deploy some of the overtake. Got a bit of DRS, a bit of helping hand down towards turn 1. He'll be hoping that blue flags can help him out a little bit as well. Further back, Fifi looking for a move on Russell. No way past just yet. Oh, bit of contact between him. Now squirt of the throttle and running wide now is Russell. That might be because of a bit of contact. And it promotes some lap car ahead. As Phil got ahead of the back marker, and he hasn't. Ralph doesn't seem to be too slow. He was up at the front a little bit earlier on. Yellow flags in sector 3. It's not for ends. Oh, it's for TQ coming into the pit lane. Maybe a small off for him late on there. But, well, Ralph now gets out of the way. Gives Phil a last helping hand of DRS and using some overtake. And this is a bit of an awkward one. Well, what Phil could do is, do a bit of a Lando Norris. Just sit there in his DRS for the rest of this race, but now gets out of the way and ahead. And also Composite goes past Ralph in the battle for what is P1 on the track. And, well, the championship is here right now. Man like Donkey needs P2. But that is quite a bit up the order. Man like Donkey has a penalty as well. It's going to be a tall order for the man who came into today on that top step. And Phil, well, he's now got the gap quite a bit up. I don't really know what Composite's doing. He's trying to cool the car down or something. Or trying maybe cool the tyres down outside the dirty air. Phil has more ERS to help defend later on. The gap's still just under a second up at the front. Fifi is still very close to the back of Skipper, not quite closing in despite ERS and DRS being activated for Fifi. Skipper seems to be quite quick in that straight line. Tiku ahead of Russell. Fresh tyres helping him in that particular battle. And my oh my. This is going to be a very, very tasty last 10 laps of this championship. We moved to 50% races because of how short the lap was. Someone let Lurch know. I'm sure he'd love to see this. But Phil still leading the way, and as things stand, leading the championship, and I think he's got a really good chance to, because man like Donkey sort of leading this train in P4 will lose quite a few positions with that time penalty as well. Fortunately, just didn't quite go his way today. The Austrian driver racing for Banana Joe. I think they will be clinching the constructors. That was already settled before this race started. But unfortunately for Phil, fortunately for Phil, it's all going very well. The yellow flag in sector 2. That looks like maybe Kappa again. Fortunately, just not going very well for Kappa in the race today, and now needs to keep out the way as some of the people unfortunately lap him. But I'm sure he's set for a very good season ahead of him in C3. And these short races aren't the best representative sort of thing for pace in the world. It can get a little bit crazy at times, and I'm sure Kappa's going to have a very strong season. Nick getting on the curb there, just holding the car well. Beefy runs a little bit wide, just trying to hang it around there on the grass. Luckily no one behind to pounce on his little mistake, but he gets DRS now to help him down the following straight. Yeah, I don't think the short tracks are sort of the best representative thing. Some guys might have been practicing a lot, some guys probably haven't. And of course, differing paces, we've got separation of sort of 3 tiers here as well, so something to bear in mind. But the reverse grid's definitely making it very racy, and you've got to be in the right place at the right time. And you've got to say, Phil has sort of just picked the perfect strategies in the races today. He's not made any mistakes, and it's going to be a double win. It's going to be an absolute snatch of the championship if he can hold on in these last 6 laps. Got a nice little gap behind him, more yellow flags. Not sure who fought. As the gaps start to spread out, it's all looking very good for Phil. And 50 points, he's come sort of, to be perfectly honest, wasn't in sort of massive contention going into today. Clay sets the fastest lap of the race. Somebody's run wide. I don't know who that is. I think it's Kappa, unfortunately. I feel now I've got that gap up to 2.8 seconds. I wonder if he knows he's in a championship winning position. There's some carnage going on third back. Tico's got ahead of Fifi. Fifi off and trying to rejoin safely. Maybe wanting the pit lane note, just sort of being safe and rejoining. Oh, he's gone off the track again. It's always Rick there to pounce. Not quite. But promoting Tiku and Russell in that particular battle. 5 laps left to go in this race, where the battle's forming out on the circuit at the moment. Not a lot of places. Yellow flag in sector 3. That's a car going slowly. I think maybe Cabba just getting out of the way sensibly. Always Rick close, trying to line up Fifi. Maybe a bit of a switchback, bit of a contact. Calais a lap down, but looking to get involved. Problem with this track is so short. It's so easy to be a lap down. Fifi runs wide, and that's going to allow Always Rick up into P8. And ahead now in that particular battle. Yellow flags in sector 2. I don't know what that's for. Maybe just some people getting out of the way, and that's maybe a little bit of a something we'll see. And Malaki getting ahead of Nick now. Malaki not too far, but that 5 seconds will hamper him. You never know, it could get removed. I don't know where I'm looking. The problem is that there's a lot of drivers. Who's that coming? Pulling Cabba into the pits. Always Rick runs a little bit wide. Will that allow Calais to unlap himself? Cabba gets 5 seconds spinning in the pit lane, and I reckon this might be Kappa's race over. It is Kappa's race over. And Always Rick lets Calais pass into turn 1. Not long left in this race. Calais was a little bit wide. Maybe the tyres just overheating a little bit. But the hard tyres, I think, are the best tyre to use around this track with the temperatures. And Phil's proved that in his 2 races. And I really don't want to see him drop it. Hopefully he doesn't. He just needs to keep this one under control. 2.7 seconds is the gap behind for Phil. As he makes his way around the final corner, he's 2 laps left to go for the driver set to win the race today, but ends making a move on Fifi. The P9, that's down, done and dusted before turn 1, and he's up ahead now. He's ends ahead of the hard running Fifi. I think he picks up 3 seconds just for running that little bit too wide on the curb there. He's struggling to touch with the corners just with tyre temperatures and a little bit grit-wise. Tiku closing in on Skippers, and they've both got basically no ERS left, so it might be a little bit of a last lap move, as Phil has only got a couple of corners before he starts his final lap of the race. All gone very well for Phil today. Made the strategy work, and well, I think he'll be glad he's not got caught up in the carnage. And one more lap to go for Phil. He's got, I think that's Fifi just in front of him. He's got the gap behind. He can sort of just about see Composite behind, and even without Mallet Donkey's penalty, it's not quite enough for the championship. The previous championship leader, Phil, will win the championship. It is one and a half more corners to go for Phil, and he rounds the final corner to take the championship win here. He's 2 back-to-back race wins this evening. It's a 50 points boost for Phil. He takes the championship and the race win. Composite, great drive from him to take P2. Baker in third, holding off a bit of a charge earlier on. Nice by Mallet Donkey, unfortunately, just running out a bit of steam in the final race and gets P4, and I believe, very close actually, I think he'll be sort of second, third in the championship. Tiku to 5th for Skipper, 6th is Tiku. Russell is come across the line in P7, always Rick takes P8. And Ends is the last car in P9, but Phil is your championship winner this evening. He's got the strategy spot on and driven very well, and just avoided some of the carnage we've seen in this second race, definitely. And I think it's his first championship win. I feel like it would be. Calage's the final car to finish and cross that line, but well, unfortunately, the way I'm set up, I can't just like add him to a PlayStation party and have a message. I might see if he wants an interview on Discord, because I can do that. Of how I'm set up on my laptop. If you want an interview, I can try and set one up in the stream. But brilliant stuff from Phil in this last couple of races this evening. See if he wants an interview. And we just wait for, I don't know where Calais is. Has he finished, or is he just caught behind the, I don't know what we're waiting for, but nevertheless. I'll see if I can get Phil up to have a quick interview before we end things in this. Anything's in the short series. It's all gone very well for him. Taking the championship, first championship win for him. Let's get Discord loaded up, and I'm hoping it'll work and play on the stream. Haven't tried this yet with the fancy streaming software that allows you to put the little sort of interlays in and cut that out. I think we've got to wait until the end of this 20 seconds. That should allow me some times to sort of set this one up. See if I can start a voice call with Phil. He takes the win. Driver of the day as well, coming from the back of the grid in both races, it must be said.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. I'm sure you know you are the championship winner of the short series.
Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Can you hear me all right? I'm assuming not. Can you hear me at all? I'm assuming he can't hear me. Oh, that's not great. I can hear him. Oh, we've got the issue. Phil can't hear me. Oh, that's a right shame. Like when we played Among Us. I'll have to message Phil if I can. So you can hear him, but he can't hear me, unfortunately. We had this issue in Among Us the other day. I'm not sure if he can. I'm trying to message him as well. He can't. I don't know why, but he just can't hear me. Can you hear me now? No. We did our best. Phil is the championship winner in the short series. We tried to get a word of him, but unfortunately that didn't quite work. Thank you everyone for watching. It's been a great stream this evening, and we'll see you all next